Okay. Like just like on vacation or?
No, no, no. I've been living up here for like the last 11 or 12 years.
Oh, okay. I see. I see. So you live in NorCal.
Yeah, yeah, just from SoCal.
Okay. Cool. So why don't we hop right in and figure out what we're gonna do for the lesson?
Sounds good.
So
Uh, oh yeah, good.
yeah, no, you go for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna basically touch on what you had mentioned when we were talking in the chat about things that frustrate me or things I want to work on. And I think the biggest ones are one. So I play Falco,
Mm-hmm.
and probably the biggest challenge that I think I need to figure out is controlling my character a little bit better,
Mm-hmm.
and having a game plan. I feel like I go into tournaments like it's usually at the end of a work day, and like I'm not really that warmed up, and I haven't been playing much, and so it's easy to start playing and then get overwhelmed really fast, and then I lose control of like the things that I want to be doing or that I know that I can do in those
Mm-hmm.
moments. Um, so I guess prepping like not necessarily the day of, but like the week of, if I'm gonna go play in a tournament. Um, and then other frustrations are I do have a difficult time playing people who are on the more defensive side. I tend to run at people a lot, which is, I mean, you'll see in my gameplay, it's not the best, and I'm aware of that. But I think I do it because I start to lose sight of what I'm trying to accomplish in a given situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just kind of, like a bull seeing red. I just run at the opponent, and then I get clipped by dumb things that I
Okay.
know better than to get clipped by. But that's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah, okay. So when you said you get like overwhelmed in the
Mhm.
like tournament or whatever, what type of feeling are you getting like in a more detailed sense?
Yeah, I guess my heart definitely starts to race if either in the situation where I'm like about to win and it's like a last stock situation, but I could definitely like lose,
Mm-hmm.
or I definitely get like down on my abilities if I like am playing and then I notice like I'm just not really playing well, and then I start to just progressively play worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you feel like that's like a mental thing where like you notice that you're playing bad and then something happens that causes you to like start playing worse like mentally.
Yeah, I definitely get I guess tilted is probably the right word against people who I feel like I generally can beat, but they're doing something that I'm just not really like prepared for, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so in those situations, I'll just pretty much anytime my mental gets in the way, I start to play worse, regardless of if it's I'm frustrated or I'm not happy with my play or if I don't know what to do in a
Mm-hmm.
situation. Yeah.
Okay, I'll think about all of that. I'm down to go over the VOD for a little bit while I consider it, and hopefully can
Okay.
come up with something.
Yeah.
You sent two replays. Do you have a preference on which one to do first?
Yeah, actually, let's watch the second one.
Okay.
I'm having the most trouble lately in the Falco Ditto.
Okay.
Um, I wouldn't say I'm particularly great at placing lasers and getting out of laser, or just playing around the opponent's
Yeah.
laser. So that's I think a good
Okay.
one to start.
So the first thing you mentioned was the game plan stuff. So do you feel like you come in with a game plan and it gets thrown off, or that like just like real life and stuff gets in your way and then your brain has trouble like loading up the situations, or like how does that feel for you?
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit of both. Like I don't spend as much time practicing as I probably should, but mostly because I don't really know exactly what to focus on. Because again, it feels more like a mental and um, like game plan type of thing that I need to focus on. Um, I mean, obviously, like tech skill and speed could be improved, but I think right right now my mentality is kind of the thing that's holding me back.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it does take me a bit of time to warm up. I would say like, I don't know, I need a good like half hour to an hour of just like moving around to feel like I'm actually playing well.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times the tournament, like you go and like maybe you'll warm up for a little bit, but at a local you're not really, or at least I don't really like have that opportunity to warm up as much as I'd like.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult to get like a good warm up at a local unless you like get there when they're setting up or something like that, and that's not always super feasible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I think with Falco, a lot of times more so than other characters, I've noticed that like when you just sort of show up and try to play, the character betrays you like way harder than other characters because it feels like he has like a lot of right answers, but you need to be doing all of them for anything to work.
Yeah.
And so for Falco in particular, like I've just noticed that with like Fox or something, a lot of times I can show up and play, and after a little bit of time, I'm just kind of playing normal, and it's fine. And with Falco, that doesn't happen. It feels like if I can't get on the right road, then I'm just all over the place, and there's just so many VODs of me at Verdugo or whatever just doing like down air roll, down air roll, down air roll, and I'm just sitting there like, what am I doing? Like, this isn't
Right.
me, you know? And what I've basically found over time is that like I there's certain sequences per matchup that I've basically figured out that like when that sequence happens, it like I've noticed that it loads my brain into like the correct mental state. And so like I basically have like a short list for every matchup of like, well, I'm just gonna try like sometimes you just show up and you're playing fine, you don't need to worry about it. But sometimes you show up and you're like, I'm really off, it's not working, like
Yeah.
I'm clearly not in the right game plan. And so I try to have like 2 or 3 anchors per matchup of like when I do this, I've practiced it enough times that it'll get me into the right mindset.
Okay.
So, like for instance, one there's a few of them I think against Fox because I feel like that's the matchup where if you show up playing a little bit weird, it's just you can lose to the worst Fox imaginable.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
so yeah, like for that matchup, for instance, like I'll make sure that I do like laser, like double laser in place, and then I'll full hop to top plat, and that like immediately kind of like I'll just do that like a couple times, and Fox has a very difficult time like immediately challenging that.
Yeah.
Because he can't really approach the double laser in place, and then if he tries to do something afterward, the full hop to top plat is like a pretty good stalemate. And I have a few of them, and it's hard to remember all of them for every matchup all the time. But I've because it's also been a little bit since I've played Falco,
Right.
but that's like a big one for the Fox matchup because it immediately takes me out of this like, why lasered Fox and now he's shielding? Am I supposed to down air or do a dash dance down air? You know, like it breaks me out of like that like limited frame of mind of viewing the matchup like that, and like I'm immediately now playing this situation where I'm on the top plat and Fox is maybe trying to shark me. And I feel like that immediately puts me into this more like, oh, how do I drop down well with like a laser or get down from the platforms? And it feels like for me that immediately takes me out of this whole like, oh, I just need to like get an aerial, but they keep shielding type of thing that can sometimes happen with Falco.
Okay.
And I think that like it'll probably be somewhat personal for you, like what jumps out to you. But I think that it's like it's a part of like making your game plans for the matchup is to figure out like I sort of use like both like the anchor of like I do this to force myself into the good mindset, and then also I look for like tells of like that's a really big one, like when I down air Fox's shield and then roll afterward. I've like programmed myself because I've had a few times where that happens where I just keep doing that to be like, if I ever do aerial roll, my brain like goes into this like quick like momentary panic state of like, okay, we got to do like an anchor like movement. Like we need to do some form of movement that like puts us back on the right flow because clearly I've like fallen off the track.
I like that concept as like the anchor movement as something that gets you back into place, because I feel like typically when I'm playing bad and in those moments that I start playing good again, it's because I hit something that I just know I can do. So like maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's like I don't know, maybe I actually do a double laser from ledge that's I get the low lasers and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like I can still do that, or I get a shield drop into whatever it is. I think one of my favorite things, it's not really a great tool, but when I kind of just throw myself at the opponent and shine, like aerial shine, to get them onto the platform,
Mm-hmm.
um, which sometimes works, but I wouldn't say it's probably a good anchor in this situation. But I like that concept.
Yeah, like no, you've experienced the concept, and I think like it's I think that like if you don't think about it, that's usually what people end up of their anchors of like for instance in the Fox matchup, like, well once I get a shine, then I'll like lock back in or whatever.
Right.
But like I think a lot of times that type of stuff like creates the bad it creates bad gameplay in the meantime. Like maybe when you do get the shine and you get your combo and you combo
Mm-hmm.
Fox really hard, now you're locked back in, but like
Mm-hmm.
was the lead up to actually being able to get that shine like something consistent, whereas like if it's like a laser pattern or a movement pattern or something like that, they can't really stop me from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also like not super high risk, but you understand like the basic idea behind it, which is good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up this. And let me know if it's working.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool. Um, let's see. So I'm definitely gonna try to plug the Falco Ditto stuff back into the stuff we already talked about, but I'm gonna just watch it for a second and see if anything else jumps out to me. And if you have anything else to add on the Falco Ditto before I start watching, let me know.
Yeah.
Or while I'm watching it.
Yeah, for sure. I guess the just so that you have an idea of like what I'm thinking about. I feel like I'm not very good at getting out of laser if a Falco is approaching with laser. Like I don't have the tools to like remove myself from getting hit and comboed,
Mm-hmm.
um, like efficiently. Like sometimes you'll see I'll get out of it fine, but a lot of the times, and you'll notice this too, I accidentally keep full hopping when I'm intending to short hop because I'm getting flustered. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something okay to keep in mind.
Okay. Let's see. You're neutral Falco. Okay.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a runoff laser.
Runoff. Like this was supposed to be a runoff laser.
The after I did the
Oh,
two from
after you did this.
yeah
I
the
see.
yeah
Yeah, I think the starter in this matchup isn't super important. I usually just tell people to drop through laser, like get your laser out as fast as possible.
okay
And this is like a funny matchup because like basically like if you go for the instant laser and they do literally nothing and they just keep sitting on the side plat, nothing like nothing has advanced. The situation hasn't really changed. And like if you
right
stand on here and they go down for the laser, then like it's also this very like stalematey position. Falco on the side plat is like really good defending for Falco on the ground, and so neither of you can really hit each other anyway. But like basically, given the assumption that maybe they'll try to play aggro, I would rather just like do it better or do it at the same time. And like I'm down to like drop and try to play this game, and if it doesn't work out, I'll leave. So there's no opening that's gonna really start you in a good spot, but like I just prefer that opening because it's just like a little bit more active than the other ones. And like
okay
if you start with like a short hop, a lot of people do like short hop laser off the plat. I don't like that much just because the other person is always gonna get their laser out like first.
I see
So it's very minor, but like this type of thing. Like you went up for this and they went down and it still ends up dead even. But if you had happened to go down, this could have ended up as something. So just a note that the opening doesn't matter all that much. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So I have sort of like a nice easy formula for this matchup on the ground, and it's
Hmm.
basically that the two things matter. You want your laser out, and you want your dash out. Once those two things have happened, you either need to shoot another laser to get like the same sequence started again. Like, oh, like you do a laser, you do a dash, you don't like the situation, it's time for another laser immediately, and then another dash, and check out what's up. If you end up doing like too much of like a laser, like you do, like this was good, like right here. So you get this win on the situation because you get your laser out, and so you're
Hmm.
currently winning, and you get the situation where you dash forward because he's at the distance where you should dash forward. So this is correct. Like up until now, you have made zero errors. Basically, from this spot, you need to like ascertain or like make a read of like what is the other Falco going to do to like deal
Hmm.
with the fact that I'm going to like approach them, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so this other Falco, like what it looks like to me is that you dashed in and were sort of like, well, if I commit to the aerial, it's like there's a little bit too much space. Like it's a little bit
Yeah.
too easy for them to avoid it. That's okay. If it's totally fine to be like, oh, there's too much space. It's now time to laser again. And it
Okay.
doesn't it doesn't need to be right off this dash. I would say it's really good if you can do like laser and then confirm the laser as you're dashing and then do like a short approaching dash laser. Like that would be like probably ideal, but a lot of times it's not necessarily going to happen. So it's fine to just do this and then immediately just do dash back, backflip laser, and just laser again. Because
Okay.
maybe after this first laser, so I think what happens here is they dash back. And so if you had immediately dashed back and shot another backflip laser right here, you would have a laser out in a second. Notice that
Right.
they went further away and immediately be able to do an approaching laser, and now you have an approaching laser and you're gathering more distance and damage and setting up with an advantage again, and you're pushing them into the corner rather than you being like off center towards the corner.
Got it. That
And
does
so
make
that would just be like, oh, okay, like you just won the situation. But and so let's say this happens where you don't shoot the laser, you need to shoot like you dash away, but you didn't react in time, and so the laser isn't coming out after this dash dance. It needs to be laser time like now. Like just do another dash dance and another laser. The laser needs to happen. If you just did like so like in this same spot, if you did the laser dash back, dash in, dash back laser, like you do dash in, dash back. Let's say you can't confirm this yet, but you do one more dash dance like here, and then right now you're like, oh, and you do like a retreating laser, or like not even a retreating laser, I mean like a dash back backflip laser. Maybe
right.
that hits him right here and you get a dash in short hop shine after the laser, and that would just like solve like that whole situation.
Right. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So the priority number one is always to get the laser out, then some form of dash dance threat. You can basically pull the trigger whatever you want whenever you think it's good. Falco's defense against Falco is not all that great. So like if you get a laser and you are at a good distance to pressure them, I would say you can let it rip a pretty good amount of the time. Like you don't have to play around it like you do with Fox.
Hmm.
Um, so like if you get a laser and they shield or they're at a distance you can approach from, it's kind of just like, do I want to approach immediately? Do I want to do like a quick dash dance approach, like a timing mix up? But that pressure is like always there. You can always choose that as like a read. And if you're not gonna
Hmm.
choose it, it's time to laser again.
Okay.
And just set up the exact same position again. And once something happens where you lose the laser situation, we can talk about that. So I'm just gonna wait for one of those.
I do have a question about so at that intro point where I did that dash back and instead of lasering, I kind of just waited a little bit. I
Yeah.
think the reason that I do that is, or that I did that, I think on that moment is because I've encountered a lot of times, especially at low percent. I'm not really sure which percent this stops working well at, but um, like Falco's will turn around up tilt on an approach.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of just trying to see what he did out of my laser.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's something I'm trying to focus on also on my own to see like what other Falcos are doing out of laser so that I can implement it. But I didn't expect him to dash away. I thought he would maybe try to counter hit. So that's why. But it makes sense to have a laser out either way because even if he had up tilted, I would still have a laser out and I'd still have control.
Yeah, like basically what'll happen is you'll be like laser, check, laser, and like as you're shooting the second laser, you'll just see him up tilt, and then what should happen is your mind should do like a thing of like, he tried to up tilt at that spacing. Interesting. But your laser is still out, you know? So like now you can make a read like, oh, does he seem kind of lazy? Is he gonna up tilt again? You know, like you have more info to go off of, but you've still maintained the advantage state. Whereas this is like you shoot a laser and you're watching, and it's like you're not going to be able to react to the up tilt. So what's going to happen is you do like laser dash dance, and he does an up tilt, and then like rolls away or something, and you go, oh, nice, he up tilted. Like, and you get the same info, but you didn't maintain an advantage state. So the second laser lets you keep that laser advantage. It's basically you recreated the exact same position again as the first laser advantage, but you have slightly more damage on him, and you got the information that he up tilts sometimes at that range.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
It does, yeah.
Okay. Oh, come on, other Falco. Oh, wait, this is the same clip. I was like, did they do that dash dance again? I just need them to, like, shoot a laser at you. Yeah, okay. So, this was... You did everything perfectly here, except you started with the dash back. I think, like, starting with the dash back in the Ditto, it's basically not the worst if you're already, like, right here. Like, if basically you, like, landed this laser... So, like, let's say this laser landed, but you were, like, here. And, like, I don't know. It's kind of how the timing works out. Basically, you gave up too much space with your backwards dash dance. And so, like, when you approached with it, you, like, created... Like, you get the laser from here, which is approach distance. But then when you do this... Now you're... First of all, you're not at a frame advantage because you got rid of your laser frame advantage during the dash back.
Okay.
And then second of all, you've created extra space, so this approach gets, like, worse. And I think, like, the idea of what you're doing, of, like, the timing mix-up after the laser is fine. It's just the fact that, like, this creates too much space. So I said if you were, like, a little closer and you create too much space, or, like, more space and then come back in, like, basically the far end of your dash dance needs to be far enough away that you can still get an approach. Sorry, sometimes it gets complicated explaining the lasers. Basically, because you it's like basically because you lasered him out of the air. There's no reason to do this dash back also, because like he is in the air, so like there's nothing preventing you from getting the instantaneous pressure. So like there's like a few factors here, and it's hard to like fully isolate. But that sort of explains some of them. Let's see.
I don't know why I did that.
Okay, this is like a nice one. So, first of all, assuming you have platforms, if the other Falco lasers you, you should have like one primary option. Like right here, when you, oh sorry, you lasered them, but they should have done that. Let me just find another spot. Okay, yeah, you jumped over this laser. First of all, this is never good. Like, just trying to hit Falco out of his laser patterns coming from above. Any Falco worth their salt will just dash back laser it and then hit you out of the air. I'm sure you've done that to many a player who's done this. And so there's just no pressure to make something happen. If you feel the sense that you are losing the laser war, or, like, you get hit by a laser you don't like, just go to the side plat. Pretty much every time. So, let me just really quick show you, like, an Uncle Punch thing. There's just, like, a pattern that, like, will free so much of your mind in this matchup from having to, like, calculate. And it just makes the matchup a lot easier to actually play. So, let's do, no, Stadium, I think, no, it doesn't transform, okay. So, let's say we're like this, and the other Falco. Hits me with a laser. Just do that. Dash away, full hop, waveland of the side plat. There is nothing they can do that will ever pressure you or put you in a negative position in any way. They literally, it's like a pure stalemate. So even if, what's up?
I was gonna say, in that situation, I feel like intuitively that makes sense to do, and I probably do that actually pretty often. I think the trouble for me comes in when, what if that Falco just stays under that side plat and lasers forever?
Okay, yeah, that's perfect, because that's like a separate part of the matchup, which is re-entry into the neutral.
Right. Yes.
So like the first step is that like if they laser you at all, you do not want that to like lead to a negative position. And so you can get better things out of them lasering you. There are better ways to play it in terms of creating more of an advantage for you. But this one is guaranteed. So even when you're under pressure and everything is like scary, it just doesn't matter. Because like, look at this. Yeah. Boom, boom.
Right.
And then...
I see.
Like, you're just safe from everything completely. And like, for me, that gives me a lot of more mental space to deal with, that like I'm not calculating, should I do a dash back here, is it enough space, and then oh I got hit, you know. I'm literally just like, oh okay, like I'll leave. Like I don't like that, I don't like this spot. And maybe, you know, you get like, sometimes you get something like that, but like overall it's extremely nice to just have a guaranteed escape option at all times.
Okay,
so the second piece is re-entry. Let me get him over here. So let's say he's like kind of camping this spot. And so he's just shooting lasers like this. And so take one. And so there's, off of the side plat, there's a bunch of different angles you can sort of take. You can wait for the laser to go past you and then just drop with your own. Like that. So that resets it of like, boom. And sometimes they can jump over, like the heights are not always perfectly consistent. But this will a lot of times give you, like, at least a neutral spot, as long as you drop right after the laser. And because you're totally safe, it's not that difficult of, like, a calculation to actually make, if they just stay in place. So that's, like, the first one, is just wait for the laser to pass, drop laser.
Okay.
And you can sometimes even, like, drop laser crouch, and if they're shooting, like, a high laser, maybe it'll go over you, and then you have a big advantage. That's one of them. The other option is you go up here, you wait for it to pass. Oops. You go up here, you wait for it to pass, and you run off lasers. So that's another option, and it's really good. As long as you let the laser pass you, you get the laser advantage pretty much for sure. And the best part is, look, if I do this, and I'm like, oh no, oh I failed.
Right.
Like, it's okay. Like, they can't do anything to me because I have a guaranteed escape. Or sometimes I'll even go like, oops, and you just double jump back up. Like, and so you have, that's the second way to get down. Third way to get down is you have a sort of like jump laser over it, and you can just time it over the lasers, and sometimes you can even just get like a hit like I just got, where it's fine, remember, if they hit you. Because if I do this and I get hit, I can retreat. And so it's basically like they are creating, like they are the one who's just sitting here doing this. And it's on me to just create the timing that lets me hit them for it. But the good news is that if I get the wrong timing, I can always just confirm it and leave. Whereas like the second I get the right timing, so you know, I'll drop and I'll get that shield and I'm like, boom, I got you. Like I got you. You can just shield the laser. You can CC the laser. There's a lot of sometimes like you can even like drop and power shield it if you're like really crazy.
Yeah, I definitely want to implement some power shielding. I think that'll be useful.
And so, an option that's really sick is actually just short hopping like this. because if as long as you're far enough away, they can't punish this at all. And there's actually like a buffer on the laser that lets you double jump out of it frame 1, like every time.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of silly. But like if you get hit from laser, like watch this. I'm gonna like, oh, let me. It's hard to do it on purpose. Okay, yeah, there. Like during the hit lag of the laser, I just hold jump. And, like, after the hit lag and the stun, it just insta-frame 1 jumps.
Just, like, X or Y?
Yeah, it's, like, literally, like, a 20-frame window or something ridiculous.
Wow, okay.
And it's just, like, a piece of laser where you get, like, a guaranteed jump out every time. And so what's kind of nice is that if you're on the side plat and you're approaching and you get hit, you can just instantly buffer a frame 1 double jump out, completely safe, and you're good. And so there's no way for them to actually, like... So, like, look at that. I can do this... where I do, like, jump in, and I mess up my timing, so they get me. Ah, come on. And then I just do that, and then I'm back, you know? And I went for, like, a double jump down air, or I can even do, like, sometimes I'll do this, where I jump in, and I try to get a second laser, like that, out of the double jump. And that whole time, like, can you punish that as that Falco? Like, I don't think so. Like, I've never been able to punish the other, like, the double jumping Falco there. Because they just have this crazy fast double jump and they're above you with the down air. And so it's somewhat annoying because in this situation, if this guy just decides to shoot lasers down here, this person up here is somewhat at an advantage. And this becomes the annoying part of the Falco Ditto, is that there's a big piece of it where it's just correct to be like, I got my laser, and then he goes to the side plat, and then he's like, does his mix up, and he comes down and he gets his laser, and then I retreat to the side plat or full hop, and then I come down and I get my laser. And it's sort of like neither of us want to like play a situation where the other person has this advantage. But
yeah,
there are spots like this, like you can't dash away full hop after the laser here because there's no stage for you to do it on. And so a lot of times you can trap somebody in like a spot if you get, and this is what a lot of people do. They just kind of sit here like this, and it's like, no, you really want to get out of here. If I go in and I happen to get him with a laser here, it's very difficult for him to like full stalemate. A lot of times people end up doing something where they like take the laser and then they kind of jump away like this. Unfortunately, this a lot of times does end up as a real stalemate. And so the Falco Ditto is kind of this like stalemate battle back and forth when both like basically there's this level of the Falco Ditto where like if I take every laser and retreat to here and then I come back in like this and I play my laser situations out and the other person is not doing that, you will literally never lose a Falco Ditto ever again. Like, because they don't get to capitalize on their lasers, ever. But when you do your lasers, they're not disciplined in getting away, so they have... So, like, you get to play your mixes, but they don't get to play their mixes. And,
so,
yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry, good.
No, what's up?
I was just going to say, so would you say the gist of this matchup in neutral is just kind of doing the laser game until you get yourself in, or you get the opponent in a bad position where they have to make a move or do something bad or something to that effect?
Yeah, I would say there's just a bunch of times where maybe you just happen to get this laser and they shield it and you know that they don't have time to like retreat afterward and then you're like boom, or you're like, you know, and you get like you get an approach. It'll just happen. Like, yeah, I think it's something that like that jumped out to me a lot more when I started playing this game plan, is that like you see the spots both on offense and defense where it just doesn't work. Like they just happen to be on you. Like the chaotic situation kind of starts up and you just want to be sure that like you get good at playing this laser game and being the one in control often enough that when something does go crazy and, you know, they accidentally roll or they just happen to roll from the pressure, that you're, like, mad ready for that and you can, like, capitalize on it. But so much of it is just playing that laser game, like, back and forth, like, over and over, trying to, like, find a spot where where, like, you have something. Because if they're playing right, most of the positions are just, like, a stalemate.
Got it.
it's interesting because when both players start playing that way, the matchup can get kind of it goes in like these defensive waves and then like aggro waves where like the position is awkward enough, like maybe neither person has a laser out. I think that's like a really interesting spot in the Falco Ditto where like neither person has a laser out, and it usually becomes a battle between like one Falco will shield mix up and then one Falco will do like an aerial mix up where like if you do the early aerial on the shield they get you, but like if you do the late aerial on the shield, like it just becomes like this very like raw like Ditto mix up, because like if Falco can't stalemate with the thing I just talked about or like a big full hop out of the way, he can't actually stalemate. So it's not like Fox where like he can take laser, dash away, and just get away. Right. Like if they don't do this thing, Falco's approach on Falco is like crazy, stupid, broken strong. It's like probably his best approach matchup in the game. All right, so now I'm gonna go through and try to hopefully find a couple applications of this. I'm curious, like where you're at thinking about it.
What do you mean?
Like, what thoughts did you have any thoughts based on like what I was saying?
Yeah, I feel like I kind of was worried you were gonna say something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not because it's not what I want to hear necessarily, but just because I don't know. I don't love doing the back and forth laser stalemate until somebody gets an opening, but I understand the importance of it. I think the other side of things in that regard then is the defensive play. So I feel like I have enough skill that if I practiced a bit more, I'd be fine on the combo and offensive side. But my defensive side of things, after I get a neutral opening, I tend to like get the opening and then not really know specifically on Falco what to do with it. Like I have some idea of like the pillar combos and some other things, but I have a hard time if I'm getting comboed getting out of a combo.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which is kind of vague, but like especially like a pillar combo or like
I did notice that that you weren't like super hard DIing the combos. I think what the easiest way is you look at how the Falco is gonna drift to like hit you with the next down air, and you just try to like do an SDI either left or right, so that when they land out of the down air and they do the instant shine, that the shine barely misses you. I actually get out of a lot of pillars from doing that, and it's just either SDI left or SDI right, and it's basically just like, do you think they're gonna slightly overshoot their aerial or like slightly undershoot, and just like picking one and SDIing hard one way or the other, and you'll get out of like a lot. There's also like the way to SDI down at like certain percents, which I'm sure you've like encountered. Like if you down air somebody in a pillar but they're too close to the ground at like 30 or something, they can just like SDI down and get out of it a little bit earlier than 30.
Okay.
That's
and then for SDI, are you typically just like hitting the gray stick to one direction? Or
yeah, that's pretty much. I don't like do like crazy like wank DI or whatever.
Okay.
Like I think like
timing it's the SDI then.
Sometimes I'll like hit it more than once, but normally like a lot of times like because you're like a Falco player, you kind of know like when they're gonna hit you is what it feels like. Like I don't need to guess when their pillar is going to hit, because a lot of times there's not that many timing windows that Falco can actually hit. Like he doesn't. It's not like like he stomps you and then there's this big window like where is he gonna knee me? It's like he gets the shine. He needs time to get to the spot. He needs to down air you pretty early before you hit the ground. And so a lot of times the timing is somewhat predictable.
Okay.
And sometimes I just go like, instead of doing the like, because I just don't really like doing the like the wiggle wank DI thing, because I feel like it like super messes up like the notches and stuff. So I'll just like I just tap.
You're tapping.
I just tap like a bunch really fast. And like I also like that because it's just like not super dependent on like each hit of that timing is on me, even though I'm not really controlling the timing. Whereas like not on me, I don't know, like the the quarter circle DI might be like more optimal, but it feels stranger to me on like how to time it. Like I feel like I miss more often going for quarter circle than I do just tapping it fast. But that's just me. It might be like suboptimal, something like that. But that is the way I get out of the Falco combos, is like 99% of the time it's just SDI left or right. Otherwise, they're kind of guaranteed. I think a big goal in the Falco Ditto... Well, okay, so when you're comboing in the Falco Ditto, there's a nice simple rule, and it's like your combo should generally be 5 hits or less, and it should kill below like 60%. Like a lot of times. That is like what you should be looking for, like every Falco combo. Like you should be looking for setup down air or setup forward smash. And like you shouldn't go for like long extensions or anything like that. I think it's somewhat the opposite of comboing Fox, where comboing Fox is like, sure, you want the early down air, but they don't usually give it to you. A lot of times Fox combos are more of this like combo them to 100, hit the edge guard type of thing. But if you actually do that to Falco, like Falco just can't edge guard himself to save his life. It's so difficult. When he's at high percent, like Falco recovering at 100, it just feels like you'll never be able to edge guard him ever. So you can do a mix up, but he'll get back really often. And so like there's just so many times where it's like Falco gets back at 90, you back air him, he's off stage, he gets back again, you hit him again. Now he's at 120, he gets back, and this time he got ledge, and now he's back, you know? Whereas like what you want is like nair, and you're like, well, now I'm gonna either down air or forward smash, or like nair down tilt, and they did survival DI in the down tilt, and then I double jump off and down air them because his vertical recovery is like so bad. But you like if you can get one or two of these like kills pre like 65-70 a game, your opponent will just lose like every time if they're not doing it. There's a lot of things in this matchup that feel like that. Like if they're not lasering like you're lasering, you win. If they're not stalemating like you're stalemating, you win. If they're not comboing the right way that you're comboing, you win. And so it's funny because like you were like, yeah, I don't really like the answer that yeah, well, what if they do it back? It's the real truth. They're a Falco main. They're not gonna do it back. They don't want it to be true either. They're in denial. Like that is like the sad true truth of Melee is like they are not going to be doing it back. You are going to do the good stuff and they are going to lose a lot, and maybe after like several months of losing to you, they're like, fine, I'll do it. But what if they're just lazier than you? Then you'll still win. That's just my experience in the Ditto. This was like the matchup where like I just put a little bit of effort in, I learned these rules, and I just like kind of beat pretty much every Falco I played for a really long time.
No, I think you're right. I think right now I'm on the end where I'm the lazy one who just doesn't feels like there's another way out, but it really kind of is what it is, and I just have to put some work into that aspect of my game.
And like I said, the hype thing is that if they ever do match you and they're both doing the stalemate, it becomes like a non-factor. Because you're both like, yeah, you do the stalemate and we do the laser, and you're just actually looking at the real interactions where you can pressure each other. So it becomes pretty fun after a certain point. They could be really annoying and just run away the whole game, but pretty much anyone in any matchup can make the game last 6 minutes if they're really, really annoying. So
yeah, true.
So for example, like this is like a spot where like, was it here or further back? There's a spot that I wanted to talk about. It might be here.
That situation is always hard for me to get out of.
Yeah, the cross-up. I was thinking about that. I would say a lot of times here. There's two strong mix-ups here. The first one is to immediately wave dash away. And the second option, which I always think of as the Mango, because I think he's the best at doing this call out in the Ditto, is he just holds shield for one more beat, and you would have just gotten like a shine out of shield for free here. Like if you just hold shield and they do this, and then you're just like, boom, shine out of shield.
Right.
And like,
and in that situation, you have to shield DI up and back a little bit, right?
To
get the best.
You wouldn't be.
Something like
You
that.
can't shield DI up. Do you mean like angling it?
Angle it. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe. Maybe if it was like really small. I don't get poked here very often. Like, maybe if
I guess
like,
I see him a lot of the times when he goes for shine out of shield. He's angling his shield like kind of towards the back of Falco, like up and back,
mm-hmm.
before he gets the shine. And I was assuming he did that just because it hits the shield sooner, which means he can act out of it sooner. I think, right?
Sorry, can you explain that one more time?
Yeah. So when this Falco is about to do this back air,
Yeah.
and I have my shield up, if I angle it behind, like back, like towards him and up a little bit, when he does that back air, what I'm assuming happens is the back air hits sooner than if I hadn't had my shield angled up and back, which means I can react out of it sooner. Is that right? Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying, and I think that, like, the game has a crazy amount of detail in every spot, and that's just not a spot that should be really relevant. Like, you shouldn't be like if you're honestly in a scramble like this and you're trying to throw off their timing on like the back air and stuff, like, you better be like top 5 already. Like, that is just
Fair
like,
enough.
there's just, you could focus on every little laser height or like every little fast fall
Yeah.
timing and stuff like that, and like the important part here is like, are you going to escape the pressure, or are you going to call out them doing one more pressure? And that's all I think of it as. I am not actually thinking of like, oh, I'll put my shield here so the back air hits like 2 frames earlier. It's
Right.
basically irrelevant. You want to make sure it
Yeah.
doesn't poke, but I wouldn't. Even like the stuff where they're like, yeah, you hold your shield higher so like the down air hits higher and stuff like that. Most of that stuff is not, like, the game is just really fast. Most of the time that's not the type of decision, like, that's one of those ones where you see it in the replay where you're like, oh, if these couple frames had been different, I would have gotten them, but that's not like the decider on like who's good and bad.
Yeah, totally. I think I just noticed that right now, and that was actually just a kind of a question I had in terms of like, is that something I should think about? But yeah, unless you're
Yeah, basically Falco's shield is so pokeable that
Mhm.
like, I move my shield specifically to not get poked, and I don't think of it beyond that. It's so easy to get poked, especially in the Ditto. Like, and I mean, not even especially in the Ditto. It's so easy for Falco to get poked every time by everyone that like, my goal is just to aim my shield in a way where it doesn't get poked. I'm not really thinking
Yeah.
about the extra time.
Yeah, that's simple enough. That makes sense. I do tend to accidentally go down that rabbit hole and not stick to just the fundamentals of the game itself. So
Yeah, and I mean, that's just like Melee. Like, it's really easy to get like sucked into those little things, and then also like, people who never do get sucked into the details also miss a bunch of the game, you know? So a lot of times it's just like, I try to not worry too much about what's happening most of the game, like when I'm thinking about my play. Like, when I'm like watching a VOD, I am not watching to see all the things I could have done better. I am watching to see what the thing is that caused the biggest problem in the game. So like, you want to look for stuff that repeats often, or like creates situations where you get bodied really hard, and just focus on fixing those, and you don't need to worry about the rest, you know, because like, there's always going to be flaws. You just need to like fix the things that are affecting the results the most, one at a time, basically.
okay.
So I wanted to mention this spot. Yeah, here it is. So this is like one of those really funny spots where like, basically when people don't do the Falco Ditto correctly, this is a spot that comes up all the time, and so everybody is kind of programmed to go for this, where like, if you are under the mindset that the Falco Ditto works a very particular way, this position is a true stalemate. There's no reason to try to like actually like hit them or do anything to them at all. My goal, if I'm you, is I want to see if they're dumb enough to try to down air me here, and I am just gonna retreat with a laser, so I hit them out of the air, and then approach with like a down air or a nair or like another laser, or like just basically like by doing this and approaching past the edge of the platform, they are like giving you a free laser battle dub. And
he already double jumps, so he can't.
Yeah, he double jumps, and so you just move back a little bit to the point where he can't hit you, and you put a laser out so that like if he lands on the side plat, fine. Like it's side plat versus grounded Falco. Like we both know that's not like a real interaction. It's just like a stalemate. And if he decides to like, I'm gonna reach out and maybe get you, he just got hit out of the air with a laser, and I have my big frame advantage because he has to land and he has no double jump, and I already know he has no double jump, so he can't buffer the double jump out of it, and like I just get like this big position here.
Okay.
And that should just happen like every time. Yeah, this is a spot. This is like an example of like, so like right here, so like when they're in this spot, I'm basically making the read that they're gonna do, like, I'm assuming they're probably gonna down air me again here. Or, like, let's say you do assume they're gonna down air here. Then, like, does it seem like they're going to, like, overshoot it or undershoot it? And it's like, well, they probably don't want to overshoot this because they might go off stage.
Right.
So, like, there's a chance that they'll kind of, like, undershoot it. So I would be more likely to try to like SDI it away a little bit, because like they're gonna get this. See how he like drifts back, like he jumps out to get you and then he drifts back, and so if you get like the DI away, SDI away right here, a lot of times you can just land like right here, you know, and just be barely out of the shine range, and that'll happen like every time Falco pillars you. You'll be able to make some form of decision, and even if you don't know what to do, just 50-50 it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like another one of like, so on one hand, this is like part of the side platform mix-up that like when Falco does this option, it's actually mad strong.
For the one jumping?
For the one jumping, yeah. Because this person can like go into the corner and shoot a laser, but you know, imagine this person jumps all the way to here, and then I go back to here and I shoot a laser and it hits them, and then they double jump back, and then like it just has a potential to like gain them space in ways that are kind of like uncomfortable for me. Yeah, like, so like you can retreat with a laser here, and I think if you think they're gonna do like an aerial here, like sometimes you can retreat with the lasers, what I'm gonna say, but a lot of times here I will treat this position almost like I got lasered, and I'll just go over to this side plat because I know that they can't pressure that side plat at all. And it's really common actually for me to go here and just jump up, wave land off, and then down air this as they land because they go for this area.
Yeah.
Like I just get that all the time. Like Falco, that's the funny part about this matchup is there's all this beauty over the horizon that none of us will ever reach because people want to hit their combos.
Yeah.
And so like unfortunately, like if you want to win the game, like your job is like you just put these out, and like I have won many Falco Dittos where I don't feel like I actually like won a real interaction at all one time. It's just them like this down air, and I'm like, preset pattern that beats that down air combo, and then I'm like laser, and they're like, I don't respect laser stalemate, and I'm like, okay, I win the frame advantage, you know, like there's just like a lot of stuff that'll happen like that. You can kind of just play around it and kind of look for freebies like that until they really prove that they're gonna play the game the same way. Another option you can do right here that's kind of fun if they jump off is just jump up and laser because it's sort of like you can do either retreating laser and jump up laser or just jump up and laser because a lot of times they do jump and then they'll double jump out of the way, you know. So you can like catch them out of their double jump up here. Yeah. The important part is that like you just want to avoid this position turning into their advantage. So sometimes you can take this, but a lot of times they'll just end up getting you in the corner. I prefer taking the side plat. A lot of times this will happen too, where like it's a little bit less hard to tell on this stage, but like you go to the side plat and they end up maybe like right here, but it's clear that they're really ready for you to run off with an aerial. Like maybe they like do this like, and then they do it like an up tilt or something right here.
Yeah.
I do a lot of when I'm in that position. Like if I don't have the guaranteed run off down air here, instead of playing that mix, I just dash short hop like this and turn around laser. And now I have the laser advantage. That'll happen so much on like Battlefield, where like I'm on the side plat defending this area, and then they over approach under the side plat, and they want to get like a short hop up air, like a shine pressure here, and then I just jump off, and now I'm like, oh, that's funny. I'm in center now, and you're in the corner.
Yeah.
And if they're good, they'll go to the side plat. And then I'll be like, oh, what are you going to do? Come off the side plat? And then maybe, you know, I jump up and shoot some lasers and land on my side plat. And then if they're on the side plat and you're on the side plat, I also like the pattern of short hopping off this side plat and lasering right here. Like you short hop at them and shoot this laser.
Okay.
That's like another option that you can do. But basically, like, if it's not in the list of situations you want, basically big frame advantage or guaranteed thing, or you got your laser and your dash out, you don't want to play it.
Right.
That's just this chaos in this matchup. I don't know if you've ever heard that thing like the worst Falco wins the Ditto. Like people have been saying that for a really long time, and that's because the worse Falco will create positions that the better Falco doesn't know. But they're like, well, I'm better. And they just play into it. And it's like, you're not better in a coin flip, you know?
Right.
So it's like, there's a bunch of pieces of the matchup that are just this raw chaos of like, what happens, we don't know. And it's pretty fun. But like, you're just not going to win consistently in those spots. And so like, being kind of like really adamant of like, no, we play these spots. And like, unless your opponent can avoid those spots as well as you can from their end, then like you just get to kind of dominate the match.
Right.
So this is an interesting thing that they're doing. I kind of want to take a look at this interaction from their end. They do this laser and pretended swaps. We're just talking about you, but I'm still gonna like sorry. I'm gonna give this lesson for you, but using their actions is what I'm trying to say. Okay. So, this laser happens. What should the next action be?
Another laser?
Another laser, but landing where?
Maybe like at the left end of the platform?
Perfect. Exactly. Left end of the platform laser. So they overextend a little bit on this. They didn't aim their laser perfectly. So this happens. The opponent double jumps to avoid the laser. What option should this Falco take?
Maybe double jump, double laser,
and land where?
Not going forward, probably backwards. Yeah. So like if I were doing this, if I had thought to do this in the moment, I would probably run back and then turn around laser.
Yeah, I would say doing something like dash jump backwards, double jump turn around laser, or even jump up and just retreating double laser to the side plat here is the right answer. A lot of times they will take these lasers and just land on this side plat, and now you're here, and now you can just either drop laser to read them dropping through, or short hop laser off the side plat and get a position where now you're here and they're here, and it just all starts again.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, if you're this Falco and you do this, sometimes they just double jump up in a way where it's too fast, where you know that if you went up here and tried to get them, that you can't get these lasers out. And so that creates that same situation that you were in one minute ago when you were here and they were drifting in from their double jump down air. Is the correct option is retreat to a distance where their approaching aerial can't hit you and put your laser out. And they either stalemate on the side plat or they get hit with this laser and you get a free opening. And check out what you do. Boom! You do the same exact downer that they did. And because the truth is, you're all doing it. Like, everybody's doing this who's not doing the plan. And so if they
Right.
did the plan here, they would have just gotten this laser out of the air, and they would have gotten a free approach on you. A lot of times when you get these lasers out of the air, I actually really like doing like empty short hop late down air, because like the frame advantage is larger, and they can't just instant like up tilt out of this or something if the laser hits.
Right.
And so yeah, and they actually make a slight mistake too of you come down, they're a little bit late with this, and so they don't get the perfect advantage state, but they still have a big advantage state. This position means you either immediately fake an attack or you immediately attack. Those are the two options. Like fake an attack, or attack. That's it. And instead they go for the laser reset, and that just doesn't really get them anything. Because they didn't immediately put the pressure on, and so many things could have gone differently here that would have been bad for them. Not bad, but not good.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we end up here. This is an interesting part of the matchup. When you end up here, you basically
I'm here all the time. I never know what to do.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but you just want to sit here and wait for them to roll.
Okay.
Like
Because a lot of the time they'll like when I do that laser right there, they'll turn around and try to back air or like wave dash, turn around up tilt if I approach. That's kind of like what.
yeah, so you don't actually really want to approach into the corner here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, nice.
but it creates a lot of pressure on your opponent, and so I would say, as this Falco, I love it when the other Falco approaches into the corner here. But what I hate is when they just stand here. I always think of Magi here, because Magi is just like so ridiculously disciplined of like putting you in the corner, doing some crazy movement that tricks me, but every time she's just sitting there like roll, roll,
Yeah.
roll.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the way to play this spot.
Okay.
And notice the Falco is above 70%. Honestly, you're both kind of at that spot. If when the matchup hits this zone, you're almost out of the zone where you can actually kill each other. You both get Falcoritis here. Falcoritis exists big time in this matchup just because you can't edgeguard it. Most matchups where you can't edgeguard, you get Falcoritis. And so, like, notice that when you hit each other here at these percents, nothing happens. It's just so hard to actually get real things started at this percent. Okay, this was good from their end. Notice that they get the laser position, immediately approach.
Yeah.
They get the tech chase, okay, and they're setting it up, but because you're over 100, nothing works. They'll never ever die.
That was just.
Okay. So this is like a fun one of you both have this happen where it's a reset. The answer here most of the time is like you can get another laser out. I think that's super valid too. Maybe at this range the right answer is another laser, but basically like if you ever just both laser each other, usually the Falco who gets their dash out is like doing really well, because a lot of times you'll be at a distance where like let's say this is like at this range where you both reset. One Falco will be like, I'll shield, or I'll roll, or I'll up tilt, and one Falco will just go on the offensive. The aggressive Falco wins there most of the time. So basically, yeah, it kind of ended up that way, where like you kind of just stalemated out of this, and you're like, even lasers, and then yeah, like right here, and like one of the Falcos will just go for the attack. You don't necessarily need to attack, but you at least need your dash out, because that if you get your dash out first, they will be like, the attack is coming.
Right. Oh, also, it is 7:34.
I just looked at the clock right now. I was like, that's been an hour.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, really quick. Last situation.
Okay.
Is the spot comes up again where they get this laser right here. Like when you're in this spot as this Falco, you just don't want to be here as you, because they put this laser out, and if they were playing right, this would have just been a guaranteed dash jump shine, and you have no double jump, and it's potentially over right now.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely need to look out for those situations on the offense more and defense.
Okay, do you have any additional questions or thoughts? I know I kind of just like talked for a long time without really asking too much after a certain point. So
No. It was actually super helpful for me to hear you talk through because a lot of the situations I had questions on, and you kind of just talked through the answer.
Okay, awesome.
Notes, but you usually post these, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be definitely posting this on YouTube. And
cool. Yeah, I'll just go back and watch if I missed what I was looking for. But that was super helpful, and I think just hearing it from someone else who plays Falco at a high level, that this is kind of what the matchup is kind of nice for my mental, just to be like, all right, like this is just how we're gonna play this.
Yeah, like once we can get everybody playing it right, we'll all evolve together to like the new layer of the Falco Ditto. But like this is the layer that we're on, where everybody is just like, I don't know, man, my weird chaotic drift back down it, and it's like, no. Like we have something better than that.
Yeah, I like that.
And so let me know how this goes. If you have any like clips or anything, like something happens and you're like, dude, this made no sense based on what he said, feel free to send it my way. I can let you know what happened. And cool. If you get any like good results or anything out of it, or something works out, let me know. Definitely. Or if it doesn't work out at all and you're like, I'm just getting bodied, what's going wrong? Feel free.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I'll definitely reach out to you again for another lesson in the near future.
Okay, awesome. It was good talking, and I hope you have a good night.
Yeah, you as well. Take it easy.